all my beloved students. Good morning. Today we are going to discuss some little bit area of again email. Yesterday in our previous classes we have discussed email and email etiquette. Today also we are going to discuss some do's and don'ts. That means simply we can say that the code of conduct or the things which can be done or things which cannot be done. So let us discuss in detail. First one, we can see things we can done while we are preparing an email or care or be vigilant while we are preparing in the areas like be concise and to the point. That means do not make an email too long than actually needed. That means a lengthy email is not an effective method of communication. So stick on to the point, or relevant area can be communicated through the email. Don't exaggerate or matter, so it may leads to the irrelevance of the communication. Next one, that is write in a positive tone. That means we are discussing in the previous lessons the importance of languages or tone which are used in our email. Tone should be smooth enough to give comfort to the reader. Avoid words like high tone. So use extreme statement, both positive and negative, in any professional emails. This helps to avoid situations in your misreading. Okay. The next one, address all the questions or concerns to avoid delay. That means email must answer all questions, which will not only save senders and recipient to time. The next one, write about a single subject. That means a single subject need to be included in on mail. Once that it is done, a second message can be done for another subject. Don't include all the subject in on mail. So another important area that we have to bear in mind. The next important thing, use proper spelling, grammar and punctuations. We are already discussed the qualities of while discussed the qualities of email. Improper usage of spelling, grammar and punctuations may build a bad reputation about the organization. So we have to use good we have to proofread the mail before sending it. So use proper spelling, grammar, punctuations, prepositions, etc., etc. Then next one, that is read the mail before sending. We have discussed a number of mistakes may be there while we are drafting an email. So it helps for avoid all these nuisance. So take care while we are sending a message before it sent. The next one, provide all supporting informations. As we have discussed, almost all supporting documents should be attached along with the mail. The next one, keep language general and neutral. Commonly we are using her or his or he or she like that. So I think it is better to use neutral gender also. Okay, in order to avoid misleading or misreading of the messages by the reader. The next one, that is use active instead of passive. That means that means we are always be stick on tense in in active. I think it is better only because of we are using communication in active tense instead of passive tense. Okay. The next, avoid using like urgent or important. When we are drafting a communication through email, I think it is better to recommend to avoid urgent or important, or using red mark as urgent or important, like that. The communication as itself give to the insight that the communication is very urgent or important. Like that, we have to prepare an email. The next one, use a proper structure and layout. It's no need of explain much more. Then next one, keep flaming under control. That means before sending email messages, ask yourself words I say this to this person's face. Calm down before responding to a message that often once you send the message, it's gone, etc. That's called flaming under control. The next, check inboxes. That is an important code of conduct, that is before sign out our mail or before leaving our mail, it is recommended to check our inbox to ensure no pending emails are there in our inboxes. That is another important positive comments regards email. Then we have a number of points that we have to discuss, which are recommended to avoid while we are using emails, or things which cannot be practiced. First one, that is don't copy message or attachment without the permission. It's as a part of plagiarism. Better to use our own messages or attachments. Recommended not to copy message or attachment belonging to other persons without their permissions. The next one, do not use email to discuss confidential informations. We are always saying that confidential, better to use a written communication or some other means of communications for communicating confidential information. Better to use other means of communication. Avoid this mail communication to discuss this confidential information. There is a possibility to lose or loss of information, or hackers can access this information. That's why it is recommended. The next one, don't attach unnecessary files. It is very easy. Files we are attached along with the communications is an important and also necessary for understanding or getting clear idea about our mail. Don't confuse it by attaching all the files which may be necessary or unnecessary, etc. So eliminate all these things. The next one, that is don't forget to attach a document. It's just opposite of points which are discussed earlier. Attach necessary files. Don't forget. Don't attach unnecessary files. The next, don't send emotional emails. As we have discussed, emails are the communication. It is an official form of communication. That's why don't use or don't send emotional emails. Put those emotions to the side when sending an email. If you feel emotions guiding how you are writing to your email, put your messages into the draft and review it later. Then next, don't use abbreviations while we are preparing or drafting our business emails. Do not use abbreviations like PLSZ for please, like that. We are always using some abbreviations on our WhatsApp communication, like what we say that because BZ or BCZ for because, like that. Here it is recommended to use this, avoid this kind of abbreviations. And also one more thing is that do not write capital letters. It is recommended to use small letter for mail. So these are the important things which are avoided while we are using emails. Then another important area, that is technical documentation. We know what is meant by documentation. Technical documentation is the documentations which is prepared by technical staff in order to provide proof or evidences and are designed by technicians like statisticians, designers, programmers, or economists, stock brokers, etc. They are prepared their own feedback or reports. That's called technical documentation. These persons present the scientific informations and know-how needed to develop, produce, maintain, or to use a form of technology. These documentations can be in the form of a model or prototypes, drawing, sketch, diagrams, blueprints, manuals, softwares, etc., etc. So these are all the idea about documentation. There are different types of documentation. We have first tenders, agent contract, release, staff need, forecast, marketing, research, statistics, annual general reports, etc. are some of the important types of technical documents. Then technical writers prepare documents for different types of users. Typically there are 5 types of documents we have. Let us see. First one, that is a description document, next one installation document, third one configuration document, and fourth one user manual, last one, that is a system reference. All these documents which are experienced in our day-to-day life. Let us see in brief. First one, that is description document. This kind of documents provided information on the system requirements and the services offered. We know the end user should be able to decide whether this is the software they are looking for after going through the introductory manual. This kind of description is called document is called description documents. Suppose we are purchased a product, we are go through the description on the catalog. From this description, it is clear that the use and details regarding the product. That's called a description document. The next one, that is the installation document. That means this kind of document is meant for the system administrators. This document should provide information on how to install the system. Suppose we are purchasing Windows software. Along with these CDs, there is a flowchart or documents how to install these in our system. Based on these instructions, we can install these OS in our computer. That's called installation documentation. The system installation document should contain a description of the system files and the hardware configuration required. The next one, configuration document. This is the system configuration document is meant for the system administrator or users. This document also provide information on how to configure the system or the software and for the end user. Suppose we are buying a mobile, all of us we are familiar with this kind of configuration documentation. The next one, that is end user manual. The end user manual should introduce the audience or customers to that particular system. It should outline the normal functions of the system and should provide instructions on how to get started and how to use the various applications, etc. Suppose we are purchased a new electronic equipments like refrigerator or any other electronic items, tape record or whatever may be. So there is a catalog. In catalog we can see user manual. From these user manual, it is very clear which are the buttons which can be used for starting, which are the buttons which can be used for shutdown, which are the buttons which can be used for regulating or making speedy or making slow. All these things we can see from user manual. By using these user manual, we are learned to operate these electronic products. Okay. Then the last one, that is a system reference. A system reference means is a document should provide informations on the system facilities, how to use those facilities, or list of errors, messages, and how to recover from errors. The system reference manual should be written in a descriptive, like suppose we are gone to the, or suppose we are using a service of a hospital or some other organizations. There is a description which are the services which are available in these organizations, and how to use these services in an effective manner. These are the documents which is related to the system reference. So these are all the important 5 types of documents. Let us conclude by these words today's discussion. Thank you to all.